Here's a practice tip for this morning. As I've mentioned on previous videos, I don't like wasting time. First of all, I don't have the time to waste. My practice time is still a little bit limited by other activities, and I like to make the most of it when I come down to practice. As part of my warm-up, I typically start in the middle range, start on some slow notes, slurred notes, just to get my air moving, gradually bring the tongue in, and gradually expand the range. Scales, of course, are always part of my warm-up. Scales are an integral part of almost all the music we play. So the other day when I was doing scales, I decided to try a different pattern on them. And it messed me up a little bit. And I like when that happens because that means my mind has a new puzzle to work out. It doesn't seem hard. I just played it for you. I'll play it once again in a different key. That scale was a G scale in concert pitch, or an A scale if you're reading treble clef transposed. Not a hard scale. I do that scale every day. Most of you probably know that scale. But when I put this pattern to it, suddenly I got tripped up in my practice. And that tells me, okay, well, I'm familiar with the pattern of however I break up the scale. That's one way. That's another common way to break up the scale. But when I change the pattern and do as I just did in my demonstration, suddenly your brain has to work on different patterns. You're moving up a third at a time, which means you're not landing in the first octave. You don't land on the tonic note of the scale. So I landed on the 7th tone of the scale, or on the 9th of the scale. When I go the full 2 octaves, I wind up coming out even, so to speak. When I do the full 2 octaves, then it comes out even. When I get to the top, I land on the downbeat on the tonic. So I'm back to the G or the written A there. It's a pretty simple pattern, isn't it? And yet it messed me up. Now that's not necessarily the only thing I'd recommend practicing, but try things like that as you practice. Maybe go into a 4-note pattern. And use your ear to decide when to come back to the tonic and something like that. Just do something a little different each day, and if it messes you up, then practice it for a few days or a little bit that day until you get it right. These are all things not so much to help your fingers ultimately, but it helps the brain and finger combination, or the brain-tongue-finger combination, because you need to know those patterns intimately. They have to be just part of your very being when you're sight reading music and when you're working out any kind of new music, even in your practice. The more comfortable you are with those patterns, the quicker that music will come around and sound the way you want it to. Or if you're sight reading, the better chance you'll have of survival. So try that as a tip. Try that pattern I gave you this morning, and try some others that you make up on your own. On scales, do them in different keys and see how it goes for you. I hope that's helpful.